Hello everybody. We have a game with the white pieces against Robert Koska, rated 870. Okay, so we don't get a Rui Lopez. This is the Alekhine's defense, where we play e5, a move we like to play when we get to kick a knight. The knight has to go to the central square, where it will be harassed further in the future. I don't know why he's thinking if he played the knight on move 1. So he brings it to the center, and we establish our pawn chain, like in the French caro-kann, all the advanced variations. So he plays e6, defending the knight, and we play c4, displacing the knight, forcing it to go to the usual Alekhine square b6, where it doesn't sit particularly well. But that's how the opening goes, so... But he wants no part of it. He wants to go forward, where we can gain space for free and harass the knight further. Now the bishop can never use that square. We're also ready to play b4 in the future to gain queenside space, all because he's messing around with his knight. So he gets it to this square that his other knight wants to use in the future, but it puts a little pressure on the center. So we can develop a piece and counter that pressure. He plays h6, which effectively does nothing but take control over the g5 square, which is something. To contradict myself. So let's go knight c3 and develop another piece towards the center. He plays another pawn move that effectively does nothing but control b5. We can just keep developing however we see fit. We can also kick the knight now that this pawn is defended. So if we push and he takes, we simply take, and our position's overwhelming. So instead of developing, this is at a point where you have the central pressure you need, and you should steamroll through the two central files and rip it open towards this king, because you have fire beams behind just ready to go. And now we just took over the whole center. Our knights are great. He has to move his. And where's he gonna go? Here? Here? Not so appetizing. And now these four squares are ours, also known as the center. And if you look at this, these 16 squares, the extended center, well, we're fighting for this one, so I'll take it away. Let's say he has that one, we're fighting for this one, we're fighting for this one, we're fighting for this one, but look how many we control, out of the center. We just control so many more squares. So he takes our pawn, we take back, and now we have our two pawns only one row up, so it's just much stronger because we get the space behind the pawns. So the knights could jump to these squares. And now he has to move his knight back to some awkward location. And once he does, let's figure out our next move to save some time. Maybe we can just develop our bishop. Prepare castling. That makes a lot of sense. But what's he doing? Why is he taking so long? Your knight's under attack. Move the knight. If he goes here and we push, He can just go back. I'm going to keep these pawns here until I'm more well developed. Maybe I have some rooks here, some more power behind it, and then I'll think of pushing further. You don't want to push too far, and then they become the the strength they have kind of dissipates. So my opponent left the game, but I have to wait 70 seconds. That's a long time for someone who abandons. That's enough time to go to the store and buy a new modem and come back. So 50 seconds. So we'll just go over the game now. Alekhine defense, my advice is just don't play it. Save yourself the trouble. But if you can't help yourself, at least know the first like 5 moves of theory. This guy did not, so we just keep going center for free. And then he puts his knight here, which can't be the right square. Improve for free. Develop and center. Develop and center. And now improve our position for free because we're hitting the knight. He takes, force move and for free. Then he just leaves the game. We claim victory and we hit new game because we already analyzed. So that's how you make use of your time. Now we have a new game against provisional 7 cubed. What is this? What is this? So he brings his bishop out to a square where I can hit it with my knight. So let's develop the knight first. And then let's just throw in this free move because what's he going to do? He has to move his bishop. There we go. Now he goes to a more normal square, which is kind of funny. And we can just continue developing. Bishop out. So we can close the pawn chain. He develops the knight, which doesn't threaten anything, so let's close our pawn chain. He now moves the c-pawn a second time to attack our center, but it's not a real threat as the center is defended. Also, we'll just play the very simple c6 and create this triangle structure so our light squares are supported. He goes f3 so he can kick all of our pieces around. So where can our knight go? He could go back home. Let's do that. He might kick the bishop around and the knight further, like you've seen me do in the Jobava London from the white side. And now you can see me react to similar ideas from the black side, but that's not what happens. Instead, he takes my knight, which was my worst piece on the board, and gives up his bishop, his best piece on the board. So that makes no sense, and you shouldn't do that. So he plays another pawn out, which also makes no sense. He's just weakening dark squares for no reason. I'm going to move my knight and fork myself because he weakened his dark square so much that if he goes for the fork, queen h4 would have been checkmate. But now he has an escape square because he just made a light square to escape. However, the dark squares are still weak, and so I'm still going to throw the queen there, forcing the king to move. Then the knight can hop in with a fork, and he might just resign because the king can't escape this way and has to go back into the diagonal of the queen. So when I take the rook, it will be with check, and then the knight that's in the corner will support the queen moving to f2 with checkmate. So to show you, here comes the check. See this mating pattern? And it's all because he made these two pawn moves which weaken all of these dark squares. So we take the rook, but not to win the rook, it's to give the check and then checkmate right away. So that was a super easy game. against the 950 provisional. So let's go again and keep climbing. These low ranks are really easy. I hope you guys are also finding that in your games. So we have another Scandinavian, and we're going to go for another Von Papil Gambit and see how it turns out. So this guy takes. So we develop and attack the pawn. He develops and defends the pawn. We develop and attack the piece, defending. And he develops a piece and defends the pawn again. Now here comes the key move, well, the first key move, which is f3. Threatening to take the knight and then take the pawn in the center with tempo. He ignores us and counter-threatens the pawn in the center. Very interesting. I don't think it works though, for the reason that whenever you can kick a knight you should, but this knight supports this square. But once we take this knight, the bishop defends, so he has to take the bishop first, because I just took a piece. And when he takes the bishop back, I can intermezzo push, bullying the knight. And then when the knight goes wherever, then I can take this pawn with tempo. On the other hand, if I take this with tempo, he still really can't take this pawn because his bishop's hanging. So if I attack his bishop has nowhere good to go. If I throw the pawn push in, and then let's say he just jumps knight in the center, then I take this, and then his bishop, let's say, goes wherever. Yeah, maybe I don't give his knight the square. I'm not sure if you should include this or not. Wait, what? He just sacked his bishop for the pawn. I guess he's going to sack it for 2 pawns, central pawns, which has some logic behind it, but I don't think it's good enough. I don't think it's enough compensation for the piece. So now that we're up a piece, let's develop with a threat. The knight's hanging. This is a little wonky for him. That's set up on the king side. What is that? He lifts his queen so he could long castle, but the knight's hanging. So this guy's just not paying attention. And he's rated 1000. You can't just be hanging pieces like that. You know, it's not like I did some clever tactic. I just developed my knight and hit your piece. So that's kind of weird. Now he's down 2 pieces. The one he sacked and this one he just blundered. He gives me a meaningless check. Normally I would block with c3 to improve my position, but that gives him the free developing move with the rook. And seeing as I don't want to give him anything, I'm going to block with the queen and get my queen off of this file. And if he takes, he just brings my knight to a natural square, so that's fine. And if he doesn't take, then I get to long castle and put my rook there. Okay, so he moves his queen back, and this hits the knight, so I can't just bring my rook over. But what I can do is develop a piece, cover this so I can long castle and defend. So he long castles, but it looks much more dangerous for him than for me. If I take this, I have a pawn hanging here. So, I mean, let's just short castle. We'll connect our rooks, and we'll just attack his king, because he doesn't really have very many ways to defend it. So he attacks the knight, which potentially immediately hangs a rook. If we did take a rook, and he did take a knight, and we just move our bishop somewhere, I'm going to take the rook. He can't move the bishop and check me and win my queen because he didn't develop. So he takes the knight. But can I go here? This is just a mass trade when I'm up 2 pieces from before. So I get the rook. He gets, you know, 2 pieces or whatever. So he takes a queen. I get this. He gets this, and then I get some pawns. Well, let me take this first, and then I'll take this one. I'm up. Instead of being up 2 pieces like I was before, I'm up 4 points of material. He moves that, attacks my knight. I mean, let's just put it on a defended square. Now I don't have to think about it for the rest of the game. Let me just bring my rook in the game. Okay, now I can improve my king with the threat. I can try to double stack. I mean, if you try to apply pressure here, he's just going to push the pawn. So we double stack with the threat of a trade. He avoided the trade but blunders the rook, so that doesn't make any sense. And now, of course, we're just winning. 2 rooks for a bishop. And he resigns. So, just quickly, Von Papil, of course the computer doesn't like this at the beginning of the game, but aside from this one mistake, we have 95% accuracy, so it's obviously practically playable. We attack the pawn, we attack the defender of the pawn, and then we offer the trade. But he didn't take. He played his knight out. And the computer says you can kick this immediately. But we take first. We take. And now he can move his bishop back and we just develop and have the center, right? And that's what I thought was going to happen. And then you'd just rather be white with a nice center, but it's a playable game. Instead, he gives up a piece. Doesn't make any sense. We're already +4, and from this point forward, we maintain that +4 or higher. Super easy game. They just blunder everything. They sack everything. If they just play a little more solid, they would probably go up a couple hundred rating points. But send them this video. Good luck in your chess. Submit your rapid games in Discord. Goodbye.